Today, we are 4 weeks into the lockdown, 6 weeks from really when the crisis started in the UK. And I don't know about you, but as the weeks go on, it gets harder. And, personally, I've been feeling this week like, won't feel like giving up. And so this message is entitled, Don't Give Up. I've been missing football, so today we're going to start off with a football story. It was the 2005 European Champions League final in Istanbul, and Liverpool were taking on the favourites AC Milan. AC Milan were star-studded. They had Carlo Ancelotti as their manager. Liverpool were a lowly fifth in the Premier League, so no one expected them to win. The match started, and within 1 minute, AC Milan were a goal up. By half-time, they were leading 3-0. Very few people would have dared to put a bet on them winning in the second half. But there was one man within that team who never gave up. Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard was like a man possessed. And within a 6-minute spell, within the second half, Liverpool scored 3 goals. The first one, Steven Gerrard scored, and the third one, he was brought down for a penalty, which meant that they ended up being 3-0. The deadlock continued through to full time and then on added time, and then it went to penalties. And from the moment penalties started, you just knew who was going to win. You knew, people have called this the miracle of Istanbul, and you knew it was going to win. And Jerzy Dudek, the Liverpool goalkeeper, was dancing along the line, taunting the AC Milan penalty takers. The first guy missed. The second guy, Dudek saved from. Liverpool scored both their penalties. Then AC Milan scored 2. Liverpool scored another. They were 3-2 up. AC Milan had to score, and Dudek saved the penalty, and Liverpool won that match. And the message from that story is this: don't ever give up. If you get nothing else from this today, don't give up. We're going to get through this. In my life, there have been many instances which I believe have sort of prepared me for this sort of time, this sort of crisis time. And I'm going to share one with you now. This was 1989. Sharon and I were still farming in those days, and we had just invested a considerable amount of money in a new dairy unit for our milking herd. And things were going quite well on the farm. We had a high turnover of money, a lot of money going out, a lot coming in. The key was to keep the cash flow flowing, and you're okay. And if you had a dairy herd, well, you produced milk every day, every month you get a milk check, so things would go okay. It was autumn 1989. In those days, the milk tanker would come every day to take the fresh milk away. That morning he arrived as usual at 8 o'clock, and he said to me, where do you get your cattle feed? And I explained to him where we got it, and he said, I'm sorry, I can't take your milk today. Feed from that supplier is contaminated by lead, which means quite likely the milk is contaminated, and you need to phone the Ministry of Agriculture. We can't take your milk. I knew right away we were in real problems. You see, right away, this meant no income from our milk. Secondly, if our cattle had been eating feed contaminated with lead, it mean they'd all been poisoned. And did it mean they were going to die? Did it mean they would need to be put down? Obviously, if they needed to be put down with lead in them, there'd be no value to the carcasses. There's real problems. So we've got no money coming in. We've got the threat to our livestock. And thirdly, we'd been drinking the milk contaminated by lead, and we didn't know how that would affect our health. The days ahead were very uncertain. Eventually, the whole thing was sorted out. The animals got tested, we got tested. There was no long-term effects of the poisoning, but it was a tough time. And 1,500 farmers in the UK were affected, and it all was because that on a freighter from Africa to Holland, a container containing lead and another one containing zinc had leaked into the cattle feed, and someone had not told the truth, and of course we had all these problems. And here we are today in 2020, and we're not facing problems with cattle feed, but many of us are struggling to know where our income is going to come from. We're worried, all of us are worried about our health. They're huge issues. And what I want to say is right now is don't give up. For us in 1989, it was bleak. But now as I look back, it seems like a moment. Now here's the God bit. You see, for me, in whatever crisis I am in, Jesus Christ makes all the difference. And today I want to talk to you briefly about a prophet from the Old Testament called Habakkuk. Now, a prophet is someone who looks at the short-term situation of the day, whether that be problems, whether it be bad things, or whether it be good things. And then he gives almost like a prognosis of what the long term will be. A prophet is someone who hopefully is listening to what God is saying. And so in our instance, we as it were need a prophetic voice today. And I believe that voice would say this, that yes, we're in a hard place. We're in a tough place. But if we stick together and if we hang on to God, we will get through. Human beings have incredible resilience to get through. Going back to Habakkuk, I'm going to read from the very end of his book, because he was living in a day where actually things weren't too bad, but God had sort of shared to him, and his little letter is all about this conversation between him and God. And God was saying to him, look, things are going to get worse, Habakkuk. Things aren't going to be good. But he also said, within that bad time, I will be at work. So at the very end of the book, it says this: though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails, and the field produce no food, though there are no sheep in the stall, and no cattle in the pens, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, I will be joyful in God my Saviour. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He will make my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to go on the heights. So what's that saying? Well, what it's saying is this. For us today, even if there's no money in the bank account, even if there's no way of paying the bills, even if there's no food in the fridge, even if things look really bad, if God is for us, we will get through. Habakkuk rejoices in God even though everything was bad around him. And he said that God would give him the strength to get through. I want to encourage you today. Jesus Christ is for you. He wants to help you. And if you're feeling like me, like giving up, hang on to him. Do you remember the days when you were little and if you fell over and you hurt yourself? And this applies to boys and girls, right? We would run to mum or whoever loves us and put our hands up to be picked up. As we were picked up, the pain still felt the same, but somehow it was different because we were embraced by love. I would encourage you today, whether you are a believer in Jesus Christ or whether you've never said his name apart from when you've hit your thumb, I would encourage you to inside reach up to him and say, Jesus, will you help me? Not only help me, but Jesus, will you help us? Will you help our nation? Will you help our world? Will you help us through? And I believe that his love in us will make a difference. His love is at work through the doctors, through the nurses, through the scientists. His love is at work everywhere. But I also believe he will move in a way in our days in intensive care units. He will be there. You know, when you can't be with your loved one, when you feel they're all alone, pray that Jesus will be there, that Jesus will hold their hands. Jesus is for us. He's not against us. Don't give up. Hang on to him. And you know, on the days when you think, I can't hang on anymore, just say to him, Jesus, will you hang on to me? Keep safe. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Keep loving. Keep praying. Speak to you next week. Martin. Yes. I need to tell you about something. What is it? Do you know at the end of these videos you always talk to yourself? Yeah. So what? Well, one of the signs of mental instability is when you talk to yourself. What do you mean? I'm 58 years old. I started to talk when I was 57. And you know what my upbringing was like. It was a quiet place, not many people around. I've always talked to myself. And now you're telling me I'm mentally unstable. What do you think you're saying to me? I'm not mentally unstable. And I'm not stopping talking to myself. Well, I'm just saying. Well, stop saying, because if you don't stop saying, you'll make me mad and I won't talk to you anymore. Okay, I won't say any more on the subject. Well, I'm glad about that, because I don't feel very happy about it. Martin, have you switched off that video yet? No, I living well haven't. Martin, what? Would you like a cup of tea? No, I wouldn't. Go away. I don't want to talk to you anymore.